So last week at the iPhone event, Apple also announced the Apple Watch Ultra 2. In this video, I want to share my experience from the past year having the Ultra version 1, and hopefully it helps with your purchasing decision if you're looking at the Ultra 2 or even a discounted Ultra 1 somewhere. Obviously, the first and biggest kind of potential pro and con of the watch is its size. So when I first put it on, I remember being like, whoa, this is definitely the biggest watch I've ever had on my wrist. But to be honest, that lasted about 3 or 4 days, and I do not have huge manly wrists or anything. I'd say I have very averaged male hands. But anyway, the watch is extremely comfortable now. And although I definitely still do bump into various things throughout the house because it is pretty bulky, I don't have to worry about it because this is the Ultra. It's made of titanium, the glass is insanely strong. Oh, thought that was a little scuff or a dent, but it was actually just dried paint from my green paint. A little speck got on there. Let me prove it with some macro shots just how insanely good condition the Ultra is still in a year later. And I have kids, I have dogs bumping into all sorts of materials, and this thing really doesn't have any signs of wear and tear on it. Now I do want to talk about the band for a little bit because obviously this is something that varies the most, I think, because everyone gets a different type of band. Do you go Apple? Do you go third party? This is a first party band. I honestly forget the name of it, should have looked that up. It's on the screen now. And I personally love this band because each one of these little loops, it's insanely customizable and there's zero chance of slipping. Back in the original watch days, I had the Milano loop thing, which was magnetic, and that was like awesome and super fun to play with. But as the years went on, the magnet kind of loosened and it would slip. I don't know, with this, there's zero potential for slipping really. But the other reason I like it, besides just the color to match my new vibe and branding, is the fact that this wristband can get insanely wet. I can jump in a pool and I don't know exactly how long, but it dries very quickly. It's not something that stays with me for hours going like, oh, I gotta set my watch to the side or I gotta let this air out or something. By the next time I think about it, I'm just like, oh, it's dry again. So next, let's talk about battery life. So a year later, and my maximum battery capacity is at 98%, and that is indeed with the optimized charge limit turned on. And as you hear from pretty much anyone who owns this watch, you can't kill this thing in a day. I usually get definitely 2 days, a lot of times a full third day out of it. And that's the beauty of the Ultra, right? Most of the people buying this are not going to hike mountains or go scuba diving constantly, but it's so nice having the overhead of knowing you could not necessarily do all those things, but it means that if this watch is made to survive those situations, then any situation that I throw at it, it's gonna survive. And in terms of cellular capabilities, it's so nice. Like, to anyone who has just the Wi-Fi model of watches, my Series 4 was the first time having cellular, and I didn't think I'd really care because like your brain's like, I always have my phone on me and stuff. But if you are the type of person, my wife, who doesn't charge their phone very often and constantly leaves the house when it's at like 20 or 30%, the pro of this is that your phone could then die and you still have a way of communicating with the world or people contacting you. And since this battery lasts so much longer, you're just not gonna kill it off in a day. So if you had to go half a day or a full day where your phone was gone, missing, dead, whatever, you still have a way to get in contact with people. Do you know what this is?
A watch. Do I wear it? It's 25. I like the color black.
How's the weight? Does it feel heavy?
No, it's nice and light. It's the battery lasts long time. You barely have to charge it. It has a flashlight. It's the coolest thing in the world. It's perfect for every charger.
Another thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about when it comes to price, and I believe this is primarily speaking to US consumers, but just like phones most of the time, I'm not shelling out, $1,600 for the latest iPhone. I'm just paying it off through the carrier. And if you look at the difference between a Series 9 and a Ultra 2, the difference is $6 or $7. And so for one extra Starbucks coffee a month, which I don't even drink coffee, you can get a significantly longer lasting, more powerful, more feature rich, bigger, just all around, in my opinion, better watch for just a couple bucks more, obviously again, spread out. It almost reminds me of like the helmet face of the really old like scuba thing. Does anyone else see that? Like this, the way it goes rounded and then kind of protrudes out and then is like squared off. No one else? Okay, anyway. The action button, gotta be honest, I'm sure I pressed it a couple of times and then I don't think I've pressed it on purpose since. And to this day, I still haven't tested the siren. Actually, you know what? No one's home, so I think I can just press and hold this. This doesn't call 911, right? It starts lower. That's pretty loud. Yeah, I could see in an open area that definitely being heard. It definitely sounds like a bird, but you know, the pattern would be pretty weird for nature. So yeah, I could imagine that helping someone out in an emergency situation. In terms of iOS 17 updates, honestly, like I haven't even paid attention to most of the features that came to the watch. My favorite one by far is the new watch face, which is solely for the Ultra watches, which is Modular Ultra. It's the first watch that truly takes up the entire screen real estate and feels like every inch is some amount of data, and I just really like the design. But I do need to tell you about the biggest con that I've experienced on this watch, and that is accidental touches. Now I'm sure it just comes with the territory of having a much larger watch face, but the amount of times that I've looked down on my wrist and I have either started a timer or a voice recording or one of the complications that are on the watch face, let's just say I have a lot of timers go off and a lot of voice memos that I have to delete. Now what can we do to fix this? Sometimes if it's one of those days where I feel like it's happening a lot or if my kids are messing with it, I'll put it in theater mode, which basically turns off the always on display. And then I feel like that takes a couple extra taps for anything to really happen. But to be honest, most of the time I just deal with it. It maybe happens a couple times a day or every couple days. So for me, it's definitely not a deal breaker and makes me want to return the device or something. But honestly, it is my only con of the watch that I have, so I wanted to share it. A new member just joined my iPhone camera guide. What up, Pete B? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm making a iPhone camera guide. A bunch of you are submitting questions inside of the guide to help me build it out, and it's over 50% off for this week only. So if you want to check it out, link in the description. Again, thanks Pete and everyone else who have joined so far. So what can I say? The Apple Watch Ultra is a fantastic watch. Is it overkill for 99% of the people who buy it? Yes, absolutely, without a doubt, but in a way that is the point, because if it's good enough for pro athletes, it is good enough for me. What do you guys think about it? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to get subscribed because got a lot of cool content coming. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.